Mall of America. For more than 30 years, it has been a retail leader and an international destination, and it remains the largest mall in the U.S. Not to mention, it welcomes millions of guests from around the world. It's huge, but it's also so much more. In this podcast, you're going to hear the real stories of how it started and why it continues to thrive. You'll hear about challenges we faced along the way and what you can learn from them. We will feature guests and experts from all walks of life and business, and along the way, you'll laugh, learn, and maybe even change the way you look at things. So if you're a fan of the mall, a brand new visitor, an entrepreneur, or a dreamer, prepare to dive deep into so much more. This podcast is presented by the Bloomington Convention and Visitors Bureau.
Welcome, everyone, to So Much More. I am Chris Straub, and with me today from Mall of America as well is Dan Jasper.
Hey, Chris.
And we are excited to have with us artist, author, advocate, Project Runway Season 6 alum,
me.
Christopher Straub.
Well, howdy.
Awesome. Welcome, Christopher, non-engineer. Just saying.
I made it very clear.
I do not have an engineering degree. All the other things apply.
Welcome.
Hey, it's great to be here.
I know. You were just here walking around and we plucked you because you're here so often.
Yep.
Practically.
And we thought, let's have a formal conversation and talk about all the things you have participated in over the years.
Normally, I do walk around the mall with full face makeup, hair ready.
Ready to
Good.
go.
I love it.
All buttoned up.
No, but it's true. Over the years, you and I especially started to work together really around the theme park. Mm-hmm. And when we found Paul Bunyan's forms, for those of you who don't know, we have a 27-foot tall animatronic Paul Bunyan figure in the log chute. Yeah. And so after 25 years, Paul got his first wardrobe makeover, courtesy of Christopher.
And it was so many things since, right?
Yeah.
Like,
Changed,
he had one outfit for 27 years, and then now he has a whole
But I knew of
collection.
you first through the film community, local film, independent film, as a costume or wardrobe designer.
Right, behind the scenes.
That coupled with your experience on Project Runway and being so versatile and fly by the seat of your pants, I figured you're the guy for this opportunity. And I'm so glad that you came to play. What was that initial email conversation like for you?
You know, I wish I could say I remember exactly what I felt, but I have been fortunate enough to take in some pretty odd sort of projects, right? And so when it came to dressing how tall is he? 26 feet?
27 foot.
27 feet, like 27-foot static statue, not a mannequin where you can lift off the arms. Like there were challenges built into it, but I love that because that makes it fun now and not just like clothes.
But beyond that, we got to work on the ideation of what are these things going to be?
Right.
Yep.
And the ugly sweater was the original kind of no-brainer idea. We were going into holiday season, and you've touched on this, but it's taken on really a fun life of its own. And I think guests are starting to look forward now too to what's next for Paul.
I get it all the time. Yeah. Like what?
Do you really?
Yeah. We're like, okay, what is it going to be, and where do I find it? Like that's the big thing. I get those texts. I'll just be at home doing nothing, and then people will say, "I'm at the Mall of America. Where can I find this Paul Bunyan?" And it is kind of like a little hidden gem, right? Like you don't just wander. You don't just come across it, right? You have to buy a ticket, get on a ride. Get your shoes wet, you know. there, you have to sort of pay the toll in order to see the sort of the fantasy that Paul Bunyan is living at that moment.
And it's become a huge part of our VIP tours as well. Dan, who hosts many of these tours,
I do.
We make that a part of the stop with the behind the scenes of the log chute.
It's awesome. We have your Santa outfit hanging back there, as well as your sweatshirt, and then I show them photos of the many different outfits you've made for Paul. I show them the football jersey, the Pastamania jersey or outfit as well when he was Hulk Hogan.
Like Hulk Hogan
my favorite is Stranger Things. I thought that was awesome
Chief
as
Hopper.
well. Yes.
And the fact that we actually did get David Harbour to take a photo with him, that's pretty incredible.
And he comes up to Paul's knees.
Yeah, maybe.
like the height of the boots.
Yeah, and that was our quickest turnaround too. That was the shortest time frame we had because you had another gig.
I'm glad you remember this stuff because it all is just like sewing, like there's smoke coming out of the sewing machine, and then I have to drive it and drop it off. But I do know that the first couple times we did it, the clothing felt so incredibly large. Like there was no context, right? And now it's just big shirts. Like it doesn't have that same like wow moment because we're so used to it.
It's true.
And it is actual work to put it on.
It is funny that you mentioned that because it's true. I remember the first time you came in during the holiday, we unraveled the sweater on the floor in the atrium, and we were going up to level 2 and 3 and taking pictures of each other, laying next to it just to try and show some of the scale.
Size perspective,
you can't understand. And it's funny when I still share those photos, people are looking at that, and then I point out, that's me.
That's me, yeah.
Whoa, I had no idea what I was looking at.
Even when I'm doing like production shots, I always put scissors in there or something for scale so that people can see this isn't a close-up view of a pocket, of a regular size pocket. This is I'm standing back view of a giant shirt, and you'll see something that looks like a little lapel pin, and it's scissors or a ruler or whatever.
Well, and it's great because anecdotally, it's something that we've talked about since we've started doing this. And we build it into the cadence of our rotation of the seasons with the attraction. But for guests to be able to get up close to that and see that and essentially have their own moment in the atrium laying next to it, that's got to be hugely impactful for everybody who goes in there.
They absolutely love it. That's where they take their favorite group photo, without a doubt, is right cool. next to your outfit, which is fantastic. I have to ask though, which is your favorite outfit that you have done for Paul?
Well, it's so funny. I think because we recently had sort of a broader conversation about the costumes because of the 30th anniversary book that we did, and that sort of touches on a lot of the process. But what's interesting was I had to, like, once we started, we were fast and furious. We were doing lots of outfits, right? And so I had to look back and go, like, I Googled it. And it was like Paul Bunyan, Mall of America. And I came across outfits that I barely remember. Oh, a pirate. We were a pirate, and he had
I don't remember that one.
He had a giant stuffed parrot on his shoulder that was, in proportion to it was appropriately sized for him, but it was a 4 foot tall fur parrot.
I love it.
That was mounted on his shoulder. But I think Pastamania, it's Pastamania. That's the name of the restaurant, right?
Yes.
So Hulk Hogan's Pastamania.
Oh, as if you didn't.
No, because it was a pasta time. That's what I was. Was it pasta time or Pastamania?
No, Pastamania.
It's Pastamania. So that was really fun because that was really the time that I tried to make it. So we were replicating essentially a costume. We tried to make Paul Bunyan look like Hulk Hogan, dressed up like a chef.
Costume, I love it.
Right? And
with noodles all over.
With noodles and giant noodles, giant meatballs.
Yep.
There's sauce everywhere. And trying to do this all like I'm a fabric artist. So trying to do this all without using wood, resin, paint, like all of this was sewn items. And then even a hat with a logo, tattered shirt with a logo. And then this was your idea, making a pasta eating championship belt.
Yep, the
right?
belt.
And what's funny is with that belt, I knew exactly what kind of fabric I wanted to look like metal. However, I couldn't find it. And so the gold that is actually used on that belt is from a pair of pants that I had made for the Mall of America a curated style fashion show.
Love it.
And I had taken apart the pants and used that fabric as the belt. Perfect. So if we look back at that metallic, and then just mapping out, like I did some logo and then the pasta eating championship, and all that stuff had to wrap around him, and Velcro and zipper, and all those details had to all be sort of figured out in the moment. Because when you and I arrive to dress Paul, we have only a limited amount of time. and limited amount of resources. And it's always at 9 at night. And we don't want to be there later than we have to be. And so we're trying to do this stuff and problem solve in real time, because sometimes the fabric doesn't do what we want it to do, doesn't stretch enough, or maybe it stretches too much and the belt is like weighing it down, so we have to lift it up. And you and I we're always like underneath a Paul Bunyan armpit with like
that's appealing.
With a zipper. Like one person's got the zipper pull and the other one's trying to push fabric together, and we're trying to, and then the fabric is like, if it was is the one that's on display for right now for the tour, is that the Santa?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Or it's the Santa jacket
It's
over?
the Santa jacket. The over.
So that's wool. So now we're in an armpit.
Right.
At 9 at night in a humid environment with wool and zippers and people trying to push stuff. And
real fun.
Like I'm on a lift and you're on a ladder and we have what we call the stick.
Yep, the stick.
So we have a pokey stick that's 20 feet tall or
Very
whatever.
technical.
That
Very
we
technical.
can
Is
use.
that what it's actually called? A pokey stick?
We call
That's
it
what
the
we call it.
Where's the stick? Where's
Literally
the
just
pokey?
found this stick
I
at
love
one
it.
point that now we
It's-
hold on to.
Yeah, I don't know what it's for.
I don't know.
But we try to put it back in the same spot every time. But it's just like a long stick with like, it's a little bit of a
little bit of a hook.
Yeah, a little hook.
Yeah.
It's kind of a little bit of a
But
shepherd.
that's how we adjust Paul's hat or wig, and
or the lapels on the
lapels,
jacket
yeah.
wig.
Yep.
It's so funny.
And you sometimes do stuff for Babe too, right?
Yes. So
What's
we
the
do.
favorite?
So okay. Oh yeah. Favorite. Okay. See, I get derailed here by the process. So I would have to say that Hulk Hogan was my favorite. Also because we did have to sew synthetic hair.
Oh, yeah.
To give him his blonde
Love
mullet
it.
situation. So I had like 24-inch tracks of hair
good.
sewn
So good.
sewn to a giant chef's hat. For Babe, let's see. I think it was fun when we did it turned from the log chute to the Kenny Loggins chute.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And so I transformed Paul Bunyan into Kenny Loggins at the height of his fame.
Well, the timing
Danger
of that
Zone.
worked out
Awesome.
because
With Top Gun.
right
With Top
after
Gun.
that, the
Yep.
new trailer for Top Gun came out. It
And
was
so
perfect.
so Babe became like a fan at this show. And so we
Super
had all
fan.
these signs that said like, take me to the danger zone. And I don't even know what some of the other
I know.
ones, like
I
we
can't
came up
remember.
with puns and turned them
Yes.
into like the signs that people would hang up. So we had, I basically found like an 80s style blanket and draped it over Babe, and then just sort of, pixelated it with these crowd signs.
Love it.
Well, and so yes, this also turned from just fabricating shirts to all these different oversized props that
Yes.
we do. So over time, we've continued to grow this, especially throughout the holidays. So one year, we imagined Paul and Babe did a gift exchange.
I know.
So there's giant boxer shorts for Paul Bunyan.
Very big.
Very big.
Very big. And they look like boxer
He
shorts.
took some of the leftover materials and made me a mask because it was during COVID that we made that
Oh, was
stuff.
was it like a moose
Yep,
print
yep, moose print
flannel?
pattern, yep.
Something.
But so because of all like oversized fruit and veg for Babe
Yep.
and all these things, so that leads us to another part of your history here at Mall of America. Sometimes not everything sticks with guests. We were tasked with doing Christmas in July of 2021. So we also
remember.
So we also have this army of 12-foot tall nutcrackers, and once again, my go-to guy for absurd large-scale props is you.
Yes.
How was your experience around Christmas in July?
So that was fun because we help me sort of tell the story to the audience here. Like it was different zones, and each zone we were doing different summer activities, right?
Right.
Yes.
So it was like
So the way it started was because we had more or less missed the Christmas.
We did
decor
miss
from
Christmas,
the
yes.
year
Because of
before.
COVID. Yep.
The thought was to bring it out in July to give people a little taste. This idea came up earlier in the year, and then as it got closer and closer, we didn't have a great idea of what we were going to do. So then it became like, well, maybe the Nutcrackers are at a camp in the North Woods.
Yep.
So now the Nutcrackers are participating in camp-like activities. So we had our producer Julie is laughing to
Yes,
herself
I love it, yeah.
off camera. But we tried to
butterfly
butterfly catching, fishing,
campfire,
marshmallows,
campfire. Yeah, a tent. There was a tent.
I mean, admittedly,
and there were Christmas trees in the rotunda.
I left you by yourself. I was like, here, goodbye. You got all your stuff, bye. Because I don't want to answer guest questions.
See, that was the thing. That was the only time that I wish I was invisible and it was 9 o'clock at night. Because I was going through decorating Christmas trees with compasses.
Yeah.
With
road
signs. Yeah, like, oh yeah. So I
Yes.
did fabric like merit badge things and had all the patches on them. And I was dressing these trees and it was a barrage of, it's too early. And so this was July.
It was.
Yeah. So it was, what are you doing? And so that was the only time that I pretended not to hear anybody. And I had like earphones in and I was like, I can't hear you. I can't hear you. Yeah. And then, or I had another, my other response was, they just hired me to decorate. I don't know what's going on. And so like I don't know. I just have to do what this is. Like I gave people nothing because
what they gave you in return was an indication that this is not what they wanted.
Is that how it ended up being? Because that was my experience.
We made the giant tent. We did a tent.
I made a tent.
Oh man.
I made, oh my gosh, it's like fishing poles and there was butterflies everywhere.
That's right.
Giant fish. Yeah, it was fun.
But the sashes with the merit badges, because we did like the stage in the atrium. So everybody had to perform on the stage.
Oh my God.
Flanked by these giant
Christmas trees in
40
July.
Christmas trees decorated like a summer camp.
Yeah, made all the sense in the world. It was really good.
I had that hot glue gun going.
Yeah, you did.
Because because everything, because I remember with that too, is that a week and a half later or something like that, I came back and I go, they're taking the props.
Well, we put that in the budget.
So people were taking stuff off the trees and just like taking them home. And so when I went to revive it, so we have stanchions, like guards around each of them. I like widened that footprint so people couldn't reach and stuff. But because that's
from about 4 feet lower.
God. Yeah, people just took everything.
Yep. And kid height lower.
Because in order to get everything onto the Christmas tree, I didn't want to like wire it because that was too permanent. So I put every decoration on basically a clothespin. Yeah. And so everything was just clothespinned on and people just took their, like I was walking through the mall and I would just find props like people just
did you enjoy the tree? I can see.
Yeah. So clearly you took a compass for yourself.
And then, not to be outdone, we swing back to Christmas here, but for Moose Mountain, we also worked with you to create a giant Santa hat for Moose Mountain. For people that don't know, Moose Mountain Adventure Mini Golf, the mountain actually does look like a moose, and the antlers are what we would consider to be
there's lots of hidden
evergreen trees.
Like look up, look down, because there's lots of great molded sort of.
And that was super fun too.
Yeah, and
but also very dusty.
And again, I had to climb to the top of the mountain.
Climb a mountain in the mall.
So I had to climb up behind the scenes to the top of this mountain that looked like a moose. And then you're a quarter mile away because you're like down and across. And so, because I had to not only whenever you folks at home get involved in a weird thing like this, you don't have perspective of how things look when you're up behind a giant thing. So I have to drape over the hat, and then you get the big fuzzy ball to land where it's supposed to land. So it looks like if you're drawing a Santa hat, you want it to look like that. So we should just have walkie-talkies for this because
or cell phones.
Something, go figure.
Just yelling.
So we are. We're just yelling across the hallways, down the hall. So I can't see you because I'm, afraid for my life. So I'm up on this mountain, and so things like that are fun. Yeah. And it's cool because when I'm walking the mall with my kids, that's one of those things where I can point and go, oh, I did that. I made that. I put that up there. I climbed that mountain. Yeah.
And you're here a lot with your family.
Yes, I was here. Yeah. What day is it? I was here 5 days ago. We were at Nickelodeon Universe.
Well, what did Mall of America mean to you when you were growing up here, and what does it mean now as a parent?
So I was here in 1992 when it opened, because I worked. My first job was in Edina, which is down just the next city over, at a Burger King, and we were outside a hotel. And so when every morning everyone would say, "Okay, how do I get to the Mall of America?" Like that was that we had to be ready with the response because everyone was trying to get there. Here, presently here. So that was fun. So it was always like my mall growing up, and then now it's fun because it is so much more than just shopping. It's entertainment, it's dining, it's all of these things. It also is a good way to just like spend a day. If it's too hot or too cold outside, you always know it's 72 degrees in here, you know?
At least in our secret location, it feels a little bit warmer than that right now.
It's warm in here.
But go ahead.
Hey, can I ask you a question quick? So you talked about your family a little bit. Something else that's non-mall related, if you don't mind. Talk about the books you've written and the accompanying toys and what inspired that, and tell us about them a little bit, if you would. My grandkids love them.
Oh, thank you so much. I appreciate you and your patronage, but aside from all of this stuff, I am an illustrator and have been a professional illustrator for years and years. And like I was first published at age, I think it was 10. Wow. I designed a greeting card for a charity that was a nationwide charity. And so I only have one of those cards still remaining to this day. But it's nice to have something that's sort of like, I started off here, you know. And then I was an illustrator for a company that would like hire me to do jobs, and then I sell the rights to the thing. Sure. But I had nothing with my name on it. And my mom was the same way. She was a professional illustrator. There was a big department store here in the Twin Cities. It started here in the Twin Cities called Dayton's. Yep. And so she would be the one, before photography was the mainstream in ads, she was the one doing the fashion illustrations of the dresses.
I didn't know that.
That was living in the ads. For Red Owl, she would be the one that would draw the milk carton. Red Owl is a grocery store.
Iconic.
Yeah.
I haven't heard that forever.
So she would draw the milk, draw the tomatoes, the things that would be in the ad, but none of it had her name on it. And so I thought it occurred to me when I was on a flight, like, wait, I should write a children's book because then I have something to put my name on. Yeah. And it happened to be very successful. Still to this day, it's like my number one thing. And I've published 8 books since then and designed stuffed animals to go with them.
And if our listeners, our guests are looking for some of your product, your books, some of the other stuff you do, where can they find that?
ChristopherStraub.com.
Got to do the plug, right?
Yeah, I'll take it. I'll take it. Any bump is good. Yeah.
But you've been here in all these capacities before. We've had you doing Toddler Tuesday events as an author. We've had you here as a designer for curated style.
I'm too accessible, is what you're saying? Yeah, right.
No, but
perfectly.
Yeah. What a unique way to weave your story into this space. And it speaks to your breadth of and scope of talent that we can go, we should get Christopher for this.
Yeah.
You know, very approachable, very easy to work with.
And I love it.
Well, we love to collaborate with you. It's so much fun to start with the what ifs and see where they go. But I mean, I think it is just, I was going to ask you this later, but I see it now. So even like your connection to Nickelodeon Universe with Ninja Turtles, you're very passionate about Ninja Turtles.
I do love a Ninja Turtle. Who's your favorite Ninja Turtle?
That is going to be a question. If you want to share now, go right ahead.
Yes.
Who is your favorite Ninja Turtle?
I like Donatello. Always.
Do you have a favorite Ninja Turtle?
Michelangelo.
Mikey.
Yeah, gotta love it. Okay. And pizza.
Yeah.
Just saying.
Pizza. But I remember being there. The first episode of Ninja Turtles airing on TV, I was sitting there at the breakfast table with my cereal, and the theme song started up, and I said, and I remember thinking in my 7-year-old brain, what did they say? Teenage Mutant Ninja. That's a big mouthful of words. And I was also loving, turtles were my favorite animal. So I'm like, wait, it's a cartoon about turtles and they're this, that, and the other thing. And so like, I was instantly hooked, like wide-eyed, staring at the TV, probably Fruity Pebbles It's falling on my mouth.
Good choice.
Love
Very
it.
solid choice.
We need to pay the light bill.
I get, apparently, yeah, they're kicking us out of here. Do you have any other favorite memories of events or activations you've participated in? Because it's nothing that's ever easy or approachable or expected in that regard. It's always like, hey, can you judge this robot fashion show?
Yeah, I did just do that
Right.
a week ago, judge a robot fashion show. I would say my favorite accomplishment that is that connects to the Mall of America is in 2011, I was brought on by the women's store Maurice's, who at that time had 2 locations here. I think they only have 1 now. So there were 2 different Maurice's locations. And but they had brought me on to design a collection for them. And so I had clothing, accessories, handbags, a fragrance, and my first stuffed animal that we sold for to benefit American Cancer Society. And through the sales of that stuffed animal, we raised like $200,000 for American Cancer Society from the sales of 1 stuffed animal.
It's amazing.
But when we launched it here at the Mall of America in the Rotunda, and that it felt like this is the stage. Like it was like America's stage. Like it was such a huge thing to stand there, to have a microphone. There was a host, and we had all of the models wearing my clothing walk out onto the runway, and I was describing the looks and all the price points or whatever, and where they could find it. And then after the show, we went up to one of the Maurice's and had like a big shopping event. Like that for me was like one of those, like, I think I made it.
Awesome.
I think this is it.
How fun.
Like, how can it get better than this? Yeah.
And yet,
And then we did it over and over and over again. Yeah.
Exactly.
oh, that's fantastic. I actually hadn't heard that. I didn't know that. For as
Surprise.
much as we've worked together.
I know.
That-
That was pre Paul Bunyan.
So now that I don't want to say you're known for being Paul Bunyan's personal tailor,
I am.
but I
I get
have to
calls about
imagine word has gotten out. Has that led to any other unexpected opportunities?
Yes, I did actually just this spring make an even larger shirt. Sorry,
Ouch.
guys.
Ouch.
Sorry, guys. And it was a sight unseen project. I had to create because I create the clothes for Paul Bunyan, but the trick is that people don't understand right away is getting it on is a whole different thing. Like, so since it's not like a mannequin, you can take
confirm.
off. Yes, exactly. So I have to create it where the side seams have Velcro, the back has a zipper. And with Paul Bunyan, we've done it enough where we know the size and how it's going to fit. This was a project where they said, we need a jersey for a King Kong statue in Amsterdam. And
Wow.
they sent, and I said, okay. And they said, and it has to leave in 2 weeks or whatever. So there was no play around with like, okay, like, let's take our time. I had to have the fabric custom made. I had to do all of these things. And again, I had never seen this thing in real life, just photos. And even after the process started, I realized, I look back at pictures or people were sending me stuff later after all the development had already started. And I realized, oh wait, he doesn't have like a back. Like it's up against a wall and it's not a full body, full freestanding body. And so challenges are just, they exist. But then the thing was, I said, okay, send me measurements. Well, they sent everything in meters and all the notes were in Danish or whatever.
Don't they know you're not an engineer?
So part of the process was sitting here with like one of those apps that could translate, and like we're just hovering it over. Like I had to print it out, hover over, and like take notes and like, and then I didn't know if it was going to be a little too big on him, so I sent with them some clips to make it smaller. I didn't know if it was going to be too small, so I sent some elastic to sort of expand the seams in the back, and they could, sort of attach it in place. And it went on with ease, and so I just have photos to prove it,
Yeah, well,
but I didn't dress it though. Yeah.
Which must have been weird as well.
Yeah, like I had to trust them.
Good luck.
Yeah,
Good luck,
have at
everyone.
it.
Yeah.
Have at it.
That's super fun. Well, I appreciate you being here, taking the time.
What a joy.
What a real treat. Dan, I don't know, did we get from you, what was your favorite Paul Bunyan outfit
Moment.
Yeah.
Oh, my favorite Paul Bunyan has got to be, well, I love Stranger Things from the tour perspective because people love that one. But mine is Hey Babe.
Oh, the first one, the OG.
Hey Babe.
So we the holiday sweaters we tried to do with like puns.
Yep.
So it's Hey Babe with Babe the Blue Ox on it, and then the next one was Paul of America.
Yep.
And what's interesting is if you look, if you show photos of that, the patch. There's a patch of Minnesota on it, on the sweater, and then sort of a silhouetted version of Paul Bunyan. That Paul Bunyan patch is the size of a person.
Yeah.
Like when you look up at it, it's 6 feet tall, like just the Paul Bunyan thing. So the scale is kind of bonkers on that one too.
It's awesome. That is also on display, so guests get to see the
one
Paul
that's-
of America as well.
Because that's under we
is.
dressed it.
It is.
Yeah, we
Yep.
dressed it.
Yep.
I remember how I propped it up, but
It's awesome.
Well, thank you very much for your time. Appreciate it. Dan, any parting thoughts?
No, other than on behalf of my daughter-in-law, she absolutely loves the bag that you created for her. You also create custom leather bags.
custom
And she
projects,
loves it everywhere.
yeah.
So encourage people to go to your website.
thank you.
You've been an amazing partner and friend of Mall of America, so thank you for that.
It's my happiness. Are you kidding? I love it.
Good.
Thank you so much.
Of course.
Well, thank you for joining us, and we will catch you next time on another episode of So Much More.
Thank you for tuning in to today's episode of So Much More. If you want to hear more, be sure to subscribe to our podcast wherever you find your favorites, including Spotify, Apple, or Google Podcasts. And you can also watch a video cast on YouTube. Go to podcast.mallofamerica.com to leave a review, ask a question, or give us an idea for the show. Until next time, thanks for listening. So Much More is presented by the Bloomington Convention and Visitors Bureau, the official destination marketing organization for the city of Bloomington, Minnesota. Before your next trip to Mall of America, visit bloomingtonmn.org for answers to all your travel questions, deals and packages for hotel stays, and so much more.